Let's take a look at one of the mid-level GMRS radios from Wouxun. Hi, and welcome to the Gadget Talk channel, where we do reviews and how-tos on a variety of cool electronic gadgets, including action cameras, audio and video accessories, and radio-related products like this Wouxun KG-805G GMRS radio. If you find this video helpful, please click on the thumbs up button below the video and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel. The Wouxun KG-805 radio comes in two versions. The 805G is a GMRS radio for use on the licensed GMRS bands. The 805M is configured for the MURS band. In this review, we'll be discussing the 805G GMRS radio. I called this a mid-level radio based primarily on price. As I record this, the 805G is priced right at $80 US. For example, I reviewed a set of two Baofeng radios that come in at about $60. You can, of course, find higher priced GMRS radios too. We'll take a closer look at both the radio and programming software in just a minute, but let's chat a bit about some important features of the 805G. Like nearly all GMRS radios, the 805G has all 30 GMRS channels. This includes 22 regular channels labeled channels 1 through 22 and 8 repeater channels. Also, like most GMRS radios, you can only transmit on the 30 pre-programmed channels. Unfortunately, that's a function of the FCC rules for GMRS radios. So, while this radio has 128 memory slots for user-identified frequencies, they are receive-only channels. Only the 30 pre-programmed channels can be used to transmit. User-defined channels must be in the 400 to 470 MHz band, as the 805G is a single-band UHF radio. This means that if you are changing areas or groups, you'll need to change any CTCSS or DCS codes using the radio's menus. You can also make those changes with the radio's customer programming software on a computer, but it's easy to do it on the radio itself. Unlike other dual-band GMRS radios, the 805G won't pick up the NOAA weather broadcasts as they are in the VHF band. The KG-805G does allow you to change the power level of the high channels to low using the CPS. That means channels 1 through 8 and 15 through 30 can be changed to low, and in fact the radio broadcasts at low power according to my power meter. Unfortunately, channels 9 through 14 can be set to high and the radio broadcasts at high power. This is not lawful in the United States, so should probably be fixed in the CPS. Power settings aren't accessible in the radio's faceplate menu, only the CPS. There really aren't many use cases where you'd want to reduce power in the radio, so stay legal and don't mess with power settings in the CPS. Let's take a look at what's in the box and do a quick tour of the radio. So here's the box that the 805G comes in. Let's take a look inside and see what you can expect when this arrives at your house. First is the radio itself. It's not very big. You can see it fits well in my hand. It's got a pretty strong feel to it and a little heft to it that gives it a sense of being well constructed. We'll take a look at the menus here in just a minute, but just on a quick tour, behind this rubber flap is the K1 connections, Kenwood style connections for the radio, for programming cable or a speaker mic, that kind of thing. The battery I've got clipped on, and so you've got that there. It comes off with a slide here and it just falls back. So this is, I think, pretty typical of these Wouxun radios, and you can see here on the back that it's got the FCC ID number printed there, which gives this that part 95 setting. Now the battery clips on, kind of the opposite of what it comes off, but instead of sliding in, it kind of folds in. So we'll put it in the bottom clips, push in, give some pressure, slide these guys down, press in, and then the battery is on. So that's all pretty simple on that side. On this side is the push to talk, and this is program key number 1. I think I've got this one programmed for setting the FM radio band. This is the monitor switch, which will cut the squelch, so it'll allow you to pick up low power signals. Another PF key on the top. This one will send out an alarm. And then we've got the channel button here, and then the on-off button here. And then on the front, you've got just a pretty simple set of controls. Enter the menu, move up and down, make choices with the menu key, and then exit with the exit key. We'll look at that in a little more detail in just a second. So that's the radio itself. It comes with a number of accoutrements. This is a little Wouxun wristband. If you like to use wristbands with your radio, it comes with the antenna. This is a single band antenna, since it's a single band radio up there in the 70 centimeter range. It comes with a charge cradle, and it has an LED that'll give you full charge and the charging indicators. It's got a round input here with the positive in the center. The little wall wart that comes with it, I'll show you here in just a second, is a 12-volt output. So that's going to be a little different than some of the other radios you may have. So you're going to want to label that. So there's the desk cradle. Here's the wall wart. It's got the round plug, again, 12-volt output. And then the belt clip, if you like to use belt clips with your radio. In this particular radio, it slides into these little grooves here on the back of the battery, so it doesn't screw on. Okay, so here we've got the antenna on the radio, and we'll turn it on. As you can see, it came up on channel 2, which was the last channel I had selected. And to make channel changes, you can go up by pushing the up button, down by pressing the down button. I want to point out something over here. You can see it says H right here. That's high power. And now in those channels 8 through 14, where GMRS calls for low power, the radio automatically transfers down to that low power setting. So let's go back to those low channels. And we'll take a look here at the menu. Now there are 23 menus that you can choose. You access that by pressing the menu key. And so you can see that we've got the squelch level. We can make a save, the ever popular Roger beep, timeout timer, the VOX, timeout alert, which will tell you that your timeout timer is about to expire, what voice you want, a beep volume, a number of things, auto lockout, for example, other things you can look up in the instructions. Here are the receive and transmit CTCSS programming choices. Here are the DCS programming choices. The scan, what choices you can do to program PF1, what you can do to program PF2, what the various LED colors are. So like here's the receive color, the transmit color. You can enter a channel name. And then we've gone through all 23 items, and we're back to number 1. So let's go up to CTCSS, because that's likely one you'll be using quite a bit if you're in a busy area for GMRS. So for that, we can set the receive CTCSS, just press menu. And then if you press up, you can start at the bottom of the list and work your way up. So if you wanted a CTCSS code of 69.3, set it, enter. And then the next one, you go up Now you've got the transmitter CTCSS, same thing. Off, enter with the menu button, and now you've got them both set. And now you can see up here in the corner that you've got the CT icon up there in the corner, so that you know that on channel 2 now you've got a CTCSS code. If you choose to use the digital codes, they work the same way. So that's just a quick overview of the menu programming. Obviously the menus are not too complex. There's only 4 keys to control it, and it's really pretty easy to make the choices you want. The instructions explain what the choices are. And as we'll see later in the review, the customer programming software also allows you to set some of those variables that you probably won't change day to day. So that's it for the quick overview of the radio. I've recorded a couple of range checks with the 805G, so let's take a listen. I recorded my end of the conversation using a Tascam DR5 digital recorder. I didn't do anything to the recording, so you'll hear some background noise. I did these in a suburban setting, so there are houses and power lines in the area, but not tall buildings or mountains. Okay, Bob, range check here. We're at a mile. Do you copy? Over?
Yep, looks like it's still full strength. Touch scratchy. I'm now standing up facing in your direction. By the way, I just heard somebody. I saw I had a full strength signal and no audio. I found the squelch button and there was a human being talking.
Yeah, it could be somebody on the channel not using the CTSS. I think that monitor button will take the code out, so we'll see. Okay, Bob, this is a mile and a half. How's that sounding?
Solid copy. Just a touch fade, a little sensitive to the antenna position, probably. Signal strength-wise, though.
Okay, Bob, we're here at 2 miles, kind of a suburban setting, so there's houses and traffic and so forth. How's it copying now?
Still holding up pretty good. To move the antenna. Still good copy.
As you heard, at 2 miles, the transmissions were clearly readable. Range checks with these types of radios are very dependent on location, so take these as a demonstration rather than some kind of guarantee. I mentioned the CPS or customer programming software earlier. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Let's take a quick look at the programming software that you can get for the KG-805 radio, both the KG-805G and the KG-805M. It's a free download from bytwowayradios.com, and it installs just as you might expect. It's a little setup file. Windows is going to give it a security flag, but then just click install anyway, and it takes just seconds to install. The way I got this to connect to the radio, I had a Baofeng Tech programming radio that I used for my other Baofeng radios. It's an FTDI cable with the dual pins, and so I plugged that into my computer, plugged it into the radio, and then turned the radio on. And at that point I opened up the KG-805 programming software, and I went up here to program, and I read from the radio, and this is the file that I got from the radio. It's the 30 channels that come with the programmed into this Part 95 radio. Now it can go a little bit further this way, and so you can see that you can have the frequency and the channel name, and so you've got the various information here. You've got the low power channels for those channels 8 through 14, and those are in the narrow band width, and then the others are the wide band width for GMRS, which is 20 kilohertz. So you can see that these are simplex frequencies, the 462, 56, 250 on both sides, and then when you get down here into the repeater frequencies, you can see there we've got repeater 15 through repeater 22. We've got the repeater frequency, which is, for example, here 46, 625, and then you've got 47, which is the transmit frequency. So you've got the deviation already programmed in on these. So when you've got your radio set to, in this case, we'll highlight that over here on repeater 17, then you've got the offset set +5. So each of these, as you can see, has got a positive 5 megahertz. So that's the repeater setup scheme. Now in the optional function area, there's not a lot. If you're looking at some of the Baofangs or other ham type radios, this page is just crazy full of stuff. And with the GMRS, not so much. So when you got power on, it'll give you the full screen, which will give you just kind of all kinds of little icons and so forth. Or you can set it with the battery voltage if you want to know what your battery voltage is when you turn on your radio, which is kind of handy. Or you can just have a welcome screen come on. The squelch is user selectable from 0, which is no squelch, to 9, which is full gliding. Default is 5. We'll leave it there. The voice guide, we're going to pick English. Your other choice is, of course, Chinese. The timeout timer is set, and there are a number of choices here, all the way up to 60 seconds. And so that's kind of the timer that if you sit on the radio, it'll broadcast for up to 60 seconds and then turn off. Now, I'm not likely to talk for more than 30 seconds at a time, so I'm going to set that at 30. And then the timeout timer pre-alert, I'm going to set at 5. And so it'll, if I'm looking at the radio while I'm talking at it, the screen will show an alert that it's going to be time for me to be quiet and let the radio cycle through to restart that. Over here in the Vox, you can set it to on or off. Vox is an automatic mode where it listens, and if it hears a noise, it'll start to broadcast, alleviating the need to do the push to talk. Generally, I'm not a big Vox fan, so we'll leave it off. The ever popular Roger beep, when you are done talking or when you're starting to talk, is selectable. You can do it for the beginning, the end, or at the beginning and the end. I'm going to set it at end. I like a Roger beep when I'm done speaking. The step through the tuning process is 12.5 kilohertz. The scan mode are 3 choices. You can look for carrier wave, search, or time. Those are all explained in the owner's manual. And then the mute mode is really, you can't change it. It's on QT because this radio does not have a DTMF functionality. Over here, there's just a couple of things. The push to talk ID is going to be 3. The ANSI codes, I'm just not going to monkey with those at all. In the channel mode, we've got it available on the menu, and we can make the radio reset available if we want. We're not going to do that. The side tone is off, the battery save is on, beeps on. And so then here we have some color choices, and so we can change the backlight. It's coming default as purple, receive, it'll be blue, and if you're transmitting, it'll be orange. And then the channel display will be the channel plus the name. And so it can be channel number, channel and frequency, or the channel plus the name. And then we're going to go to the key set. And here there are just a couple things to change. The top key is the alarm. We could have the alarm, or it can be undefined, in other words, off. I'm going to choose undefined. The push to talk is not available to change. It's always push to talk, so it's grayed out. The PF1 key will move the radio into the FM radio mode if you wanted to listen to FM radio on the handy-talkie. You can also turn it off. You can have it begin the scan process or turn on a lamp. So we'll leave it at FM. And then the moni key, or the monitor key, is set to monitor, which is going to open up the squelch. So those are the primary things that you can change here in the software using the setup choices here, and then the basic information here. Now, my recommendation is the first thing that you do when you download this is to go into the file menu and click save. Click save. So we're going to go here and save the setup. This is the basic setup. So if something happens and you need to go back to what it was, if you make some changes and mess something up, you're going to put that on your computer. And so I'll do that here in just a minute. The other menu items across the top are read and write to the radio. So when we're done messing with this, we'll hit write and it'll go back to the radio. We can edit those same three things, which is the same as clicking them right over here. We want to make sure we're on the right COM port, so I'm on COM 6. If you get a failure to get a handshake on this, coming here and finding the right COM port would be the place to start looking if you have a connection problem. We've got tree view, toolbar, and status. They're the defaults. That's fine. So the language we've got set to English, and so we're going to leave that there. And then we've got the help menu, which is just the about, which will give you the specifications for this particular software. Wouxun has a solid reputation for producing good quality radios, and the 805G is no exception. It fits in your hand easily, and the limited control buttons on the radio's faceplate allows for easy changes to the various settings such as CT, CSS, or DCS tones. Build quality seems solid, and the radio should be able to deal with outdoor use around the campsite or worksite. As you heard in the range check, the speaker sounds good and can be set loud enough to hear even in fairly noisy environments. If there's anything to complain about or watch out for, is that this radio is a single band radio. It's designed that way and it works as it should. However, if you want to program both UHF and VHF receive channels or listen to NOAA weather broadcasts, this radio won't do that. On the other hand, if you're looking for a small handheld that does GMRS well, the KG-805G certainly does that very well. If you're still thinking about why you may want to get a GMRS license and use what the FCC calls Part 95 radio service, I've got a GMRS overview video on the channel that I'll link to on this video's end card to help you decide whether this technology meets your communications needs or not. Again, if you found this video helpful, please click the thumbs up button below the video and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel. Click the bell icon to be notified when I post new videos. Thanks for watching.